Hello everybody, today I am going to fix up this 4-drawer white dresser. My lovely stepdaughter gave it to me when I gave her husband a 5-drawer dresser. And I believe this probably came from her husband because it's very similar in the way it was built to the plain 5-drawer dresser that I cleaned up for their baby. Now I'm showing you what it looks like here, and one of the knobs doesn't match. One doesn't, yes. The back was kind of dirty looking. There was like stuff spilled on it. There's stickers on top of there, and there was a cracked dresser, and then there was a cracked part of the drawer. So the front of the drawer and then the side of the drawer. So now what I've decided to do is stop using stripper unless it's for detail work, and the reason for that is because it's so stinky. I can't do it in the garage on cold days and it doesn't work very well. So I remember stripping or using a heat gun on my husband's door before we got married, and it worked so well. So I borrowed a heat gun from the neighbor and I thought to myself, we must have a heat gun. So we went to Lowe's and bought one of them. I think it's this one right here for about $30, and it's just worked so well. And then my brother was listening to one of my videos and he said, oh, I think I have your other heat gun. So, hey Dave, sorry. Yeah. So I feel so sorry for my brother. He does watch these and he's so sweet about it. So once I was complaining that my dad gave him a bunch of tools, so the next day he's like, oh, you can have the tools back. And I went, oh yeah, okay. So very nice guy. He's very supportive. Shout out. And he's a great human being with 3 nice kids and a lovely wife. So sorry that my GoPro is not put on the right part of my head to show how easy this strips. So the reason why a heat gun, in my opinion, is better than stripper is because when all of the paint falls on the ground and it's all dry, it just crumbles. It's so easy to sweep up. Later in the video, you'll see me sweeping up the dried up paints. And right here, I'm feeling it just to see how it feels, and it is kind of hard. So then after I do all the after I use the heat gun to strip off all of the paints, then I sand it all down. So here is a not sped up part of how the heat gun works. And you can see my hand on the right. It doesn't look like I'm pushing very hard because I'm not. It's so easy. You just wait for it to bubble a little bit, make sure the heat gun is on full blast, and it all comes out. Oh, right. You can see the steam coming off of that. You put it on the ground, and then in about 5 seconds it all dries up. Now I sped it up, so because watching paint being removed is kind of boring, but you can see it's so easy. Now I do change the tool that I'm using. Right now this one's kind of wide, and my father has a whole bunch of tools, and so later on you'll see I'm using a more narrow one, which I like the control better. Now when you plug in tools, make sure that there's a way you can knot them together, and I did that on the video, which you can't see very well, but if you don't do that, sometimes they unplug by themselves, which is very annoying. So the next part of the video is just me removing all of the paint, and under this paint was a kind of maybe polyurethane or a lacquer, because you can see there's little drips coming down. So whoever made this, I don't know who, they were kind of did a fast job of it. So there's drips and things like that, which you can't see. And here you can see how easily it comes off. It's just amazing. And it's so rewarding. So sometimes there are people in life that like to watch like the tape being removed when you do a paint job to see the very nice lines. And there are people who don't care. Well, I'm one of those people who love that. So when I use a heat gun and it just comes off so nicely, it's just great. So there's a lot of video of me removing all of the white paint. And I do go against the grain a little bit because I have to get it in a way so that I can heat it up and then put the scraper underneath it. And it's kind of easy when you go against the grain, just for a little bit. And once again, I'm not pushing hard at all with this, so I'm not hurting the wood. And I am, if you were to say, are you a patient person with this or an impatient person? I would say I'm a little bit impatient. When I was teaching low-level students, I think I was very patient. But when it comes to furniture flipping, oh my goodness, I have realized I am kind of not patient. So right now I have in my garage a bookcase that I am flipping. My father made it. And it was kind of that horrible orangey looking oak look, which I really dislike. And I'm doing this editing now because I'm like, Paula, stop bugging the furniture. Leave it alone. And once again, I do put this on about ×4 or ×8, just because when I watch videos, I don't need to watch you sand everything. So here's the normal speed. And once again, I put all of the dried up paint on the ground, and it's so easy to clean up. Now I'm doing, here we go. So I made a little knot in the extension cord, and I'm heating up the side. It starts to bubble. And then it starts to work pretty easily. I think part of it is because the actual tool needs to be heated up. So if it's not as hot as it needs to be, then it won't work as well. And this is a corner. And once again, I am not pushing hard. So if you're not pushing hard, it's very easy to get the paint off. And I could use my sander to sand this all, but I would waste so many sand pads. And sand pads are not cheap. So you do not want to use them for things that you don't need to use them for. So this is, I think, the best way, except for maybe if you are just using lacquer or some kind of coating over a design area. So in the next couple of weeks, I'm going to be working on a waterfall dresser, and there is some detail in that, and I think I probably will use the leftover stripper that I have, as well as a, I think it's a brass brush that will get off the stain. Yeah, and if you use it, the little scrapers carefully, you can get in little areas like on the left hand side of where I am, there's an indent. Yeah, easy peasy, so easy. Now what's interesting about this dresser is that there are two different kinds of wood. On the left hand side at the very bottom, that is Douglas fir. And the reason why I know that is because the back of the bottom drawer says Douglas fir plywood. So almost all of this is Douglas fir plywood, but there is some pine as well. And the reason why I know that is you can smell it. When I was scraping this, I'm like, oh my goodness, it smells like pine. So it's really interesting to see what people used to build furniture from. So now I'm getting my broom and I'm cleaning up. So now this is all of the scraped off paint. Look how easy that is. There's nothing sticky. There's nothing gooey. There's nothing that's gonna hurt my fingers if I touch it. I'm telling you now, heating guns with a scraper is the best way to get rid of paint off of flat surfaces. Now I am marking the drawers because they were not marked before. And the bottom one has the little stamp about Douglas fir plywood. So I'm not putting a number there. So 1, 2, and 3. And also the last one you can see here has a lining on the inside that's kind of a plastic. I say, oh, look at that, Douglas fir. Okay, so now the video didn't work out so well because my GoPro wasn't on the right place of my head. But you can see here is what it looks like when I am taking the paint off. Now also, if you have a heat gun, oh, it's so easy to take off the liner that's all sticky and disgusting. Now you have to remember that this is a heat gun. So if you are putting it on a warm piece of plastic, make sure that you're not going to touch it right away, because when I was doing this, I went, oh yeah, this is kind of hot. Not very smart. I also didn't put my little tabletop down, so it did fall down, but you know, who's perfect? Nobody. Yeah, some of the plastic got stuck on the scraper, but it's so nice. Once you scrape it, it becomes hard and it's so easy to get rid of. Now, after I remove all of this, there is kind of a sticky film, so I did use 80 grit sandpaper, and I sanded the whole area down, and after that I used Howard Feed and Wax, and it makes it just so luscious and not sticky anymore. Funny story, in China, when I used to live there with my husband, we lived in a city called Suzhou. And Suzhou was amazing, and it had so much amazing history. So if you ever go to China, make sure you go to Suzhou. It's near Shanghai. The reason why I bring that up is because for some reason, I do not know, in apartment complexes, there are vendors who will come around and put stickers on your front door. Yes, that's right. So in my opinion, it makes it look really trashy and disgusting. So every day I would go out with mayonnaise, which I don't really eat, but we bought it for this reason, because mayonnaise is kind of an oil, and it's also, it won't drip. So we put mayonnaise on the stickers, and I would scrape all of the stickers off every day. So eventually, the people stopped putting stickers on the door, and I was just renting this place. And I would call up the numbers on the stickers, and I would say, very bad, don't put stickers on the door, you know, and I would just, in English, I don't know much Chinese at all, except for ni hao, tai gui la, wo shi lao shi, ni shi lao shi ma, which means I'm a teacher, are you a teacher? Anyway, so I'd yell at them and say, stop putting the stickers on the door. So here I'm taking off the handles, which I will be using in the future, but not for this dresser. Anyway, so then the neighbor people who live next to me at the apartment building, they started taking off the stickers. And it's just, oh my gosh, if you put stickers on people's property, or if you do graffiti or anything like that, shame on you. Don't do that. Now you can see I'm using a smaller scraper, and this one works a lot better. It's a lot smaller. Look at that. Isn't that amazing? So great. Anyway, I didn't have a heat gun in China, and if I would have used it for taking off the stupid stickers. And, oh yeah, I tell ya, Paula Heiser is my last name. I am a Karen. And for those of you who don't know what a Karen is, it's usually a woman who is a racist, which I am not. But it's usually a woman who kind of goes crazy when people do things they don't like. Now, I'll get back to that in a second. So now you can see where the poles used to be. It's a square. And if you watched my video where I do the dresser for my stepdaughter's baby, they also had these kind of rectangle poles. That was long gone, so I didn't have those anymore. So I bought my own, which are right here. I went to the Restore here in town, and I bought these for either 75 cents or $1 for each knob. And I wanted to use smaller knobs on top because I bought a mid-century modern dresser, and on the top they have smaller knobs, which I just found adorable. So I wanted to kind of mimic that. So now I'm looking for the right sandpaper grit. I think this is probably 80. And 80, in my opinion, does a really good job. So I went back to Surf Pro and bought a whole bunch of their 80 grits. So, yeah. So a Karen is a kind of woman who is seen on social media as being a total jerk. And I don't think I'm a total jerk, but when I see things that aren't right, I will totally go overboard and yell at people sometimes. We have a gardener guy here in my neighborhood who he mows the lawn and then he blows all of the leaves and everything into the middle of the street. And there are drains everywhere on the street, which then get all plugged up, and so it backs up, and so I have to use my rake, and I have to clean out all of the gutters. So one day I said to him, "What are you doing?" Because he did it many, many times. And he said, "Whatever, Aaron." Well, he said Karen, but I thought he said Aaron. So I said, "My name is Paula." Anyway, yeah. So if you are doing cleaning of your yard, don't put the scraps in the middle of the street. Clean them up. Put them in your garbage can or clean green. Very, very annoying. Anyway, so I'm continuing to remove all of the paint. And as a person who doesn't do this a lot yet for money, I don't know how furniture flippers actually make money. I spent 3 days doing this project, and I ended up using it for myself because I like it, and I'm a little bit shocked how little people are charging for their dressers. So when I was getting ready to price this, my husband likes the black. Now on the video, it looks like a blue, but believe me, it's a black color. So I looked online and somebody was selling their 5-drawer oak piece that was like the original kind of orange look for $25. $25! Down from like $100. So the person wants to get rid of it, and it was in perfect condition. And it's just like, you know what? This isn't worth me to sell it when I have furniture in my house that's not that great, and it really fits the decor of my upstairs bedroom. And so I decided, you know what? I'm just going to keep it. So here I'm going in the detail to get the paint that's there. And if I remember, I do use earphones so it muffles the sound. And I sanded all of the drawers out. I might sound a little bit out of breath. I was just chasing bunny rabbits. It's a nice sunny day where I live, and the rabbits are trying to eat my flowers, so I'm chasing after them. I know. It's sad. So here you can see the little stamp on here that says that it is Douglas fir plywood. And I tried to take as much paint off as that I could. That was kind of splattered from the person who did this the first time. I like to do the sanding inside and all around the corners, so any kind of splinters or things like that will not be there. And also, these drawers were only nailed together. And I know that people really seem to like the dovetail, but I've worked on so many dovetail drawers that in reality, it doesn't make that much of a difference. I think screws are the best way because that really holds them together. It doesn't look so nice, but yeah, the dovetail, just use glue and put them back together again, but I'm not that impressed actually. So here I am sanding a little ledge right there, a little gap. It's very cute. I like it a lot. So once again, this dresser I got for free from my stepdaughter. I gave her a nicer, newer one. And this was in my garage for about 3 months. Yes, there are police or something going around out here. I'm not sure what's going on. And I have a guy who lives up above the garage, and he got a new motorcycle, and he wanted the space to put his motorcycle. So I said, Paula, your garden is looking lovely. Just stop gardening for a little bit and fix some of your furniture up, get rid of it, so that way you have more space. So what I did, here it is all sanded out pretty much. Now this top one had a crack all along the top, so I glued it together, and I waited for about a day, and then I sanded that one, and then I'm going to stain most of the wood. So my husband thought that it would be very nice to use the black, not navy blue that it looks like in these pictures, but the black as a kind of an accent. And he said that he thought it would look kind of nice and masculine. So I said, sure, I'll do that. And so now I am just covering up the Douglas fir part of the wood. If I knew how to pause this, I would pause it because, wow, something's happening in town. Not sure what's happening. Okay, now this is the paint that I bought from Lowe's probably about 3 months ago. It was $2. It was half full, and it's a very thin paint, and I just love it. It was $2. It's for wood and concrete, and I've used it now on 3 projects, and oh my goodness, I just love it. I always go to Lowe's or the Restore and look for used paint, just because I can't get much money off of the flips. And yeah, buying nice paints are so expensive. So here I am painting the wood a black color. And this paintbrush I got off of Amazon. Interesting story. There is an app that you can log into. It's called gov.org or something like that. I can't remember. Anyway, they will ask you questions and you can do surveys. And if you do enough surveys, then you get money for it. So Meta, who is Facebook and Instagram and other things as well, they wanted to get some people together to ask about cyber bullying and safety on the internet. So I said, hey, I have a weekend to spare and make $300. So I signed up for it, and I met people from all around the United States, and we talked about safety on the internet and what we use the internet for. And I was so impressed by the other Americans from all over the United States that were so lovely and all ages. And then so what we would do is we would talk together about an issue, and then there would be some people who worked at a university who were like PhDs in cybersecurity or whatever, and they would give feedback after we talked about an issue that we thought about. And oh my goodness. So what I did with that money, $300, I bought these paintbrushes, and I bought my spray gun, and I bought a spray tent, and I bought some things for my projects. But yeah, I was really impressed that Facebook-Meta cares enough to get feedback from regular people, because really, I'm nobody. They had an older woman who was probably about 60 years old from North Carolina that was in my group. There was a lovely person from, where was it? Down south of me, and that person was kind of the mediator in our group. Here I'm just showing how much dirt comes off, or sand, or dust. And this person probably was in her or his early 20s, and oh my goodness, was the best facilitator of any kind of group meeting. And then there was kind of an older guy who was in Minnesota who was kind of a curmudgeon, but sweet, but is kind of like gruff. And then there were some people who didn't have their images up. And anyway, it was an amazing experience. So I'm cleaning all the drawers off. I'm cleaning the inside and the outside, looking to see anything's wrong with them. And I believe I find out one of the drawers has been cracked. So I'll fix that. So once again, this took me 3 days, and there's no way I'd make any more than like $25 off of this. So it's not worth my time and effort to give it away to somebody when I have enough bad furniture at my house. So here is Howard Feed and Wax. I love using this. I am not sponsored by them, but I've had other videos about it. In one of my videos, I fix a table using this, and I think I've got like about 2,000 or more videos about it. So I can't say enough great things about it. You do have to use it more than once. It's not just a spray and go. You put it on something, you rub it off. If you don't use it very often, like you don't use, like if you cover it with something, or if it's just a not used item, then it's not, you have to reapply this. So I'm putting it on the bottom of the drawers so it's easier to slide back and forth. And I think I figure out that the top of it is broken. It's on the first drawer. And I also don't really know if it's good or not to just squirt it in, the Howard Feed and Wax, but I do it anyway. Turns out fine. This is my dad's old shirt. Whenever he is used with one of his cotton shirts, he gives them to me, and then I destroy them with using all my products on it. Now you might see there's some white right around the trim. Later on, I do put the black stain on it. It's a gel stain, which makes it very easy to stain over paint, which I really like. Howard Feed and Waxes have a very nice smell. If Minwax ever hears this, their wax is really stinky. It does go away in a couple of days, but I just don't understand why people can't make everything smell like lavender or orange or nothing. Howard Feed and Wax, these bottles cost about $10 for the big size. I think it's 16 ounces. One of the ladies who I fixed one of her pieces, she gave me the container. I wasn't really sure if it was for me to keep or not. Here's the broken piece that I found. And my dad always puts the glue in like little baby jars, which is so smart because that way it doesn't get hard. All you have to do is wash off the tiny little paintbrush, and it's so much easier. So if you're trying to use like Elmer's glue out of the container, pour it into a baby jar. Make sure that the rim is always clean so it's easy to reopen. But oh my goodness, it saves so much hassle. I do use the clamp to hold it down, and I do clean around all of the excess glue, but I didn't show it in the video. Making sure it's all nicely lined up. And now I'm going to start staining the drawer fronts. This is a mahogany gel stain from Minwax. Minwax is my favorite. I do believe that they only have it at Lowe's or other stores or online. Home Depot doesn't carry it because I believe, I've been told, that Lowe's bought the company. Lowe's also owns Blinds.com, which is a very interesting little story. I own a lot of Blinds.com blinds, and the reason for that is I love podcasts, and one of the ladies I listened to was talking about how she ordered some, and so I said, okay, I need some new curtains and blinds. So there was a guy, I believe down in Texas, but I could be wrong, someplace down south of me. And he started the company himself, and then Lowe's bought it from him, and he's kind of he still works for them, at least I heard he did. And yeah, I think Blinds.com is great. So I buy a lot of things because I hear about them online. And so Minwax, this is why I was talking about this. You put it on first, however you want. You can use a brush, you can use a rag, and then you just wipe it off, and it dries so quickly. It's really great. I have used gel stain over paint, and it doesn't look 100% like wood, but to me it looks pretty great. I'll do a video of my house and what I've done in the past, and it's just, I love gel stain. So I'm redoing the black part, which does look blue, to make it wet so that the blue tape is easy to get off. If you take it off when it's dry, it might not be a great idea. So to me, that's what I've found. Also, very weird. Normally, when I fasten the gel stain, the cap keeps it really locked tight. For this one that I bought, every like 2 days when I open it, it's already drying up inside. So I'm not quite sure what happened. Maybe they got a bad batch of containers, because normally I've had gel stain that lasts for years, but this one, it's not the same. So not really sure what's happening. Also with paintbrushes, with gel stain, I have used them numerous times. I wrap them up with either a plastic glove or some cellophane or something like that. And if you re-moisten it with the gel stain, it comes back to life. So I think it's great. I love gel stain. Sorry if this gives you a headache. It's on my GoPro, so when my head moves, it moves a lot. It's different than my phone camera, which is steady. So I'm putting all of the drawers on the side so they're out of the way. And always go in the way of the grain of the wood. And now I'm using like extra large gloves because the ones that are supposed to fit me never do. And you can reuse them. If they turn inside out, just turn them in the other way and then blow inside and they pop right out again. So you don't have to waste them if you don't want to. So when this was being done, it was probably about 50 degrees Fahrenheit in my garage. The 2 doors are open for ventilation. Gel stain does have a smell. It's not too horrible, but you just can't, well, you shouldn't breathe it in. And I do have a renter upstairs that doesn't want to smell this stuff either. Now, once again, I'm so sad that the paint looks blue, navy blue. It is not. It is black. If you saw it face to face, it looks black. At the very end, it's going to be on a blue rug, so that way you can kind of see better that it's more of a black color. Now, after I stained this all, I only used 80 grit sandpaper, so it was not very smooth. And I know you're supposed to work your way up to make it smoother. So after I stained this, I then used 320. I know, not supposed to. I jumped right up to 320 to sand it all nice and smooth and to get any little grits off of the top. And then I put the sealant on that. I replaced the metal ones that like this that were here earlier. They're all rusty. I took the paint off from underneath and I used the same holes that were there. Now this one kind of looks like it goes over the side. Once again, it was the same hole that I had before. And this is where I start not caring. I'm like, ah. I like the plastic ones better than the metal because they don't rust. And I think they're safer for wood floors. So here's what it looks like. The one on the back is a little bit off center. Now I'm using Dixie Belle's Gator Hide for the sealant or the protection. I like it very much. I used it for my kitchen cabinets and it said stir it nicely. I have a whole bunch of these little wrenches that I got from my greenhouse, like 5 of them. So I'm using these and they're really easy to clean up. So I really like Gator Hide because when I use them on my kitchen cabinets, I painted the kitchen cabinets. I then put the Gator Hide, which is so easy to use. I use this little sponge. And after it dries, I put the glassware on top of it. And sometimes you can hear where something's sticking on something. There's no sticking sound. It's so good. So I also don't sell Dixie Belle or anything. I have kind of a bad time with the name, but you know, the product I think is really good and I really like it a lot. So when I use this all up, I will rebuy it, and I do think I'm using a little bit not appropriately with this. All the small little pieces, I think I go down too many times, but it didn't bubble, and I really I've realized that I am not a perfectionist, and it still turns out really well. And the little sponge is so easy to clean. I've used it like 5 times, 6 times. All you do is you clean it out with water and use it again. It's great. It fits right in the little container, or you can put it on like a paper plate or something, a small paper plate. Yeah, love it. Yeah, I have nothing bad to say about Dixie Belle's products at all. So I cover all of the sides just because people knock into sides of dressers and such. And better protection. So once again, this is mahogany gel stain from Minwax. The wood is a Douglas fir plywood on the sides. I believe the front is just regular Douglas fir as well as the top. And I think that the area around the drawers is pine. Pine is used a lot in furniture, and I like it. It's a little bit soft, but it's easy to work with. And there are no bubbles in any of the Gator Hide. It's really great. I mean, really, I'm just very happy. Everything I've learned is from either my dad or new products is from YouTube. So I haven't been steered badly yet. Yeah. This dries in about a couple, maybe an hour or less. You're supposed to wait for at least 2 hours and then put the next coat on. They say to use 2 to 4 coats. I sometimes will put a little bit of the paint color in to a different container to make it, I don't know why people say to do that. It seems to work well. I didn't do it with the gel stain because gel stain's a different kind of entity, but I will do it with water-based paints. Yeah. Now I'm doing the top of it, and there were a tiny little bit of drips. So I went back with sandpaper and got rid of all of the drips. So if you looked at it now, it'd be drip free. Yeah, I kind of thought I should have stained the sides of the drawers. When you see the pictures at the very end, yeah, I should have. But once again, I didn't sell this. I kept it for myself, and it's fine. It's better than what was there. So upstairs, there was a white bookcase that was kind of beat up. And growing up, there were books in there to read. And as we've all gotten older, it's now a spare bedroom where my sister and her family stay when they come to visit. And the bookcase isn't really useful anymore. And so I used to put extra blankets in it, but it was kind of narrow. So I thought that's kind of stupid. And then you can see all the blankets. So I thought I would put this up there and then redo the bookcase. Now this is just a clear polyurethane spray-on spray. And the reason for that is to protect the black paint that I put on there, as well as for wear and tear. This is kind of smelly, so I probably should have done it outside. Here's what it looks like. These are the two small knobs, and then the other drawers, I used the bigger knobs. I did put a little washer around it, so it's kind of a silver color to make it a little bit more interesting. Here's before. You can see the top drawer had a line through it. That's where it was broken. I also stained the back so it looked all clean and nice. Here's what the gator hide looks like. It is not blue, I swear, it is black. And if I were to do this again, I would probably do a better job of sanding it and making it a little bit smoother. But I didn't want to put the effort out, knowing I wasn't going to get any return for my investments. So this is the upstairs bedroom. You can see the sides are a little light. I should have stained those in my opinion. And so once I took pictures of it and I looked on Marketplace, I'm like, there's no way I'll get any more than like $25 for this. So that's why I decided to keep it myself. The very last picture, you will see what it looks like now. It has 3 blankets in it, one for the second, third, and fourth, and the very top one I left open for anybody to put their stuff in when they're visiting. Once again, it looks blue. It is not blue, it's black. It's so weird, the optical illusion. Slide in nicely, it's all cleaned up. There's nothing sticky. Here's what it looks like now with a blue rug right there, you can see. If you haven't subscribed already, please do. Thank you for listening and have a great day.